Hello, and welcome to the first and possibly last episode of my travel log. My house has recently been infested with evil spirits, so I am being sent away for a week while an exorcism is performed on the property. I will be staying in Atlanta, Georgia with an aunt. I thought it would be best to record my experience with the trip, to make sure inexperienced travelers are properly prepared for situations they might encounter when going to a new place. And for fun. Day 1, the drive began at 8:30. The roads were not crowded because most sensible people are remaining in the safety of their homes this winter break. Once the car made it onto the highway, it was out of danger of the trees, which in my area are carnivorous, and are known for snatching children from open windows of moving cars. A few hours in, a hole opened up in the sky and started screaming. If you encounter one of these, which usually only appear if there is a Waffle House in the near vicinity, all you have to do is keep your head down and ignore it. Avoid looking directly into it if possible. Sometime later, we passed these signs, which I want to take the time to explain. These are lures. If you follow the directions to the restaurants, your travels will be permanently over. There are a few ways to tell the real signs from the fake. Firstly, check your GPS. These signs are usually found on rural highways with little traffic. Secondly, take a closer look at the sign. With lures, there will always be something slightly off about them. For example, a word might be misspelled, or the logo could be altered. Thirdly, drive past the sign and look back at it. Sometimes it will disappear and relocate to another area in search of new prey. Anyways, I located a real restaurant and stopped for a late lunch. Always be wary of food given to you by strangers. I checked for poison or parasites, but the meal seemed clean. As the sun began to set and the sky turned a brilliant yellow-orange, I passed an American flag. I try to avoid these when possible because they are bad omens. Unfortunately, they become more common the further south you travel. After the sun set, the world became cold and dark. If you are an inexperienced traveler, you should stay off the roads at night. The night does not forgive and it does not protect. I stopped for sleep in Virginia. I was able to find a suitable motel relatively quickly. There were almost no shadow people hiding in the corners, and the man at the desk didn't try to steal the car keys. Also, the room only smelled a little bit like cigarettes. It was, however, directly across the street from a Waffle House, which is not ideal, but it seemed like the neighborhood was stable for the time being. Day 2. I ate an unhealthy breakfast and set about vacating the area as soon as possible. Never stay long in unfamiliar territory, unless you've secured housing from a trusted source. The American wasteland is populated by places like these. Corporate-infested towns with no permanent residents, meant to feed off travelers' need for temporary shelter and fast food. They are bad for one's health in the long run, but often unavoidable. Speaking of voids, or rather screaming of voids, another hole opened up in the sky. I knew this would happen eventually. Never let your guard down. Later, on the highway, I spotted a field of roaming cows. Fields with roaming cows are good luck. Empty fields are neutral. Fields with hay bales are bad luck. Fields with cows and hay bales are anomalies and should be avoided. You can show respect to the cows by pointing them out to any others in the vehicle. Say something like, "Hey look, cows." Respecting the cows guarantees safe passage through their territory. Several hours later, I came across this creature hiding under a bridge. I am not very familiar with North Carolina wildlife, but I suspect this is a scavenger. Scavengers are not naturally predatory to humans, but hungry ones will take what they can get. They are not a native species and can carry several plagues. Best practice is to keep your distance and call a pest removal service or animal control if you see one. If you have any other information regarding this bridge dweller, please let me know. Some time had passed when I came across this sign. Roadwork ahead signs, as you know, are a universal symbol of positive energy. The sign marks its land as safe territory, so I took the closest exit and stopped for lunch. I dined at an unremarkable burger chain. The food was standard, but there was an unidentified, aggressive entity living in the bathroom. I ate quickly and left, best not to dwell. The roadwork ahead sign is likely the reason I survived unscathed. After being on the road for as long as I had been, you will begin to feel the soul draining from your body. Do not panic, this is normal. It is simply a byproduct of American infrastructure. Let the dull ache spread from your limbs up into your head. Breathe in the hot, thick air, sink down into your seat. You can do nothing to stop this, you must simply endure it until your next stop. By the end of the day, I had not made great progress in terms of distance, but human bodies are fragile and needy, so I stopped for rest in South Carolina. Always remember that you are an insignificant speck whose meaningless and inconsequential life could be extinguished in a fraction of a second. In the eyes of the universe, you will never matter. Keeping this in mind helps ensure that you will not act recklessly and push yourself too far. A healthy fear of how easily you could slip away will keep you safe on your journey. Anyways, the hotel was decent. I only found 2 frogs in the bathtub and the shadow figures did not attempt to follow me inside. Day 3. The drive began relatively late that day. I was in no particular hurry, because by then I was sick of the highway. I had been on the road for some time when I came across a park with this threatening sign. These signs are erected in public spaces to encourage the unhoused to go sleep somewhere else for fear of being harassed by law enforcement. Of course, the city will not provide safe spaces for the impoverished to reside, so really the sign is more of a cruel taunt than a polite request. When traveling America, it is crucial to keep this fact at the front of your mind. The police will not protect you, they are the ones to keep your eyes on. A few hours later I spotted this. I do not know exactly what this creature is. Sometimes, you will come across things like this, that you will be unable to identify on the spot. When this happens, you should stay as far as possible from the entity, and exit the situation at a medium speed with no sudden movements. If possible, take a photo for future reference. Do not initiate contact under any circumstances. But then, at last, I arrived at the house in Atlanta. The smell of real human life surprised me after so long away from a home. The rooms were small and the walls were thin, and I found that others share this house with my aunt. I also found the little door. Something lives behind the door, but it didn't want to be bothered, so I left it in peace. When you are a newcomer, you must follow the rules. I went to sleep in a guest room. I could feel them watching me. Day 4. In the morning I made a friend. Always be nice to your friends, you may need them someday. In the afternoon I met up with some relatives and we went to lunch. I found this little thing in my pizza. Although these closely resemble some North American insects, they are actually something called a scalp. Scalps can be commonly found behind the eyes of rotting mammal carcasses. They were introduced to Earth during the first rapture. Interestingly, they are known for making their nests in the eye sockets of embalmed corpses. Harsh preservative chemicals seem to have no effect on them. Despite all this, scalps are completely harmless to living humans and a good source of vitamin D. In other, worse news, there was a Waffle House neighboring the restaurant we ate at. An important note regarding Waffle Houses: although they are incredibly unstable locations, it is possible to approach and enter a Waffle House under the guidance of an experienced Southerner. Personally, I would still not recommend doing so. After eating, we attended the aquarium. Be cautious when attending zoos or aquariums. Even behind glass walls, foolish behavior can easily provoke the animals. While at the aquarium I witnessed this. This is a false. I don't know how it managed to get into the penguin enclosure, but I notified aquarium staff immediately. Falses, as you likely know, are one of the species sent as punishment for the sin of man. They take on the form of their prey and slowly eat as many as possible without being found out. They only reveal their true form when they are about to make a kill. Falses have great difficulty mimicking humans because they don't understand language. They simply parrot things they have heard before, but they have been devastating to almost all animal populations they have come into contact with. The rest of the visit, however, was very pleasant. Sometimes I envy the jellyfish. To be a disk of soft, squishy jelly floating in the incomprehensibly vast, deep ocean with no need for eyes or ears or thoughts is an uncomplicated, peaceful existence. In the evening, I returned to the house and went to bed in the guest room. I could feel them watching me, but not with malice. Day 5. I awoke very late. The house was quiet and sleepy. When you encounter quiet, sleepy places, do not create a disturbance. You will only be making enemies. I have made friends here by following the rules. It is always in your best interest to make friends with the residents of new places if possible. Around noon I was invited to run some errands. I went to the pet store to purchase some cat food and saw these creatures. I cannot help but think they deserve better. I then went to the grocery store and purchased this regional dish. When I bit into one, I found that the inside was filled with thick, foul-smelling ooze. I am unsure if I have received a bad batch or if this is simply how red vines are. Either way, I would recommend avoiding them. After the errands were completed, I returned to the house to rinse my mouth out and eat lunch. The food was as expected, dry and bland, though this was no one's fault but my own. I grew exhausted by afternoon. It was not my wish to make this journey. I did not want this, and I am tired. It is moments like these that I think of the jellyfish. I fell asleep. I woke up about an hour later. I decided to go for a walk. When traversing the open outdoors, make sure to have done your research on the local wildlife. It is imperative you know what is dangerous and what is not. The small figure with the long black hair may look similar to a scavenger, which can spread disease, but it is just an host. They are usually cave dwellers, but they come up to eat small fish and crustaceans from springs on occasion. They have no interest in humans and will run if approached. In the evening I went to bed. They felt no threat, so they did not need to watch. Day 6. I woke early in the morning. The residents of this house have become accustomed to me. This, as I have stated several times, is the most effective way to ensure safety in a new location. I rose quickly. I have important things to do today. I have promised to bring back gifts for my friend, Corin, so I am going shopping. Of course I am going to take proper precautions. When shopping, especially at second-hand stores, make sure you do the following. Bring some sort of lucky charm. This will help keep cursed items away from you. Keep away from suspicious stores. If your instincts tell you not to go, don't go, no matter how enticing the wares are. Do not let the owner get between you and the door. Not all shopkeepers are dangerous, but you should never risk it. I found many strange and beautiful oddities. While looking at these trinkets, I noticed a strange man looking at me. He did not blink. He smiled, and his teeth were sharp. I kept my eyes on him while I left. These will please Corin. She is a lover of novelty, which is a sign of good character. I bought her some toys. She is childish, but that is no problem. The rest of the day was short. I was tired. I went to sleep. Make sure you give yourself rest. Let this be another reminder of your mortality and fragility. Day 7. I began packing my belongings early. I am leaving today, but not by car. I am going to be on an airplane. Airplanes and airports are some of the most dangerous and complicated parts of traveling, so you must be prepared. Pack thoroughly, make sure nothing is out of place. Be especially wary of stowaways hiding in your luggage and of thieves stealing personal belongings. Depart early. It is crucial to arrive several hours before departure. You will be left behind if you are late. Take care to park safely. Dim and crowded parking lots can be breeding grounds for predators like these. Surviving security is the next step. Keep your head down, follow the instructions, avoid packing items like guns or bombs in your luggage. You should be fine. Now, you must navigate to your gate. Do not get lost in empty corridors or dark bathrooms. These locations are unsafe, and are usually where humans meet a sticky end. Once you have successfully reached your gate, you may rest. If you have made it this far, it is certain that the airport is not hunting you. It would have caught you long ago if it had the intention to digest you. If all has gone well, you should have ample time to sit before your flight departs. Watch for anomalies around the building. Air traffic is incredibly heavy around airports, and it can cause tears in the sky. In this situation, like with most voids, you must simply ignore them. We boarded safely. Other than being stressful, this process is relatively harmless. Takeoff is usually easy. Aside from the waiting, simply refrain from acting in ways that bring bad luck, such as listening to fast music, blinking too much, and making excessive eye contact. It is important to mention, this was the first time I had ever been in first class, though also probably the last. In any case, I did not know the rules. I did my best to keep the peace. Nothing seemed to go wrong, but I should have researched this more beforehand. Let that be a lesson to you. Once above 10,000 feet, some people begin to hear the call of the angels. This call can take the form of whispering voices, biblical visions, sudden mood swings, visions of blinding light, and the overwhelming urge to exit the flying plane. Do not listen. They may try to convince you that you are immortal. They may say you can fly. They may say they can take you to heaven. These are lies. The angels are punishing you for the sin of man. The angels are not saviors. Whatever holy being they tell you to trust, know that any god of theirs has abandoned us long ago. The flight was relatively short. We landed smoothly. Do not linger in the airport after landing. Even if the beast has let you be so far, it is still very possible for the airport to decide it is hungry. I quickly vacated the airport, and after only a short drive, I arrived at my home. Thank you for your time. Hopefully this information will help you survive any future journeys. The world is grim and decaying. We are separated by time and distance and culture and the wishes of the powerful, but we still have each other. We do not have to remain this solitary. This narrative is clunky and difficult to follow, but I hope you resonate. I wish you all the best. Goodbye.